Welcome, you're safe here. There's nothing you need to understand, nothing you need to remember, and nowhere you need to go. This space is only for rest, slow thoughts, quiet stories, and gentle time. Settle gently into stillness now. There is no task waiting, no understanding required, no conclusion expected. This story does not ask to be followed closely. It asks only to be present, softly, quietly, without effort. Tonight we move slowly through an idea, not as a theory to be proven, but as a landscape to rest within. Cities have always been built upon earth that moves, not suddenly, not violently, but patiently. Grain by grain, layer by layer, the ground adjusts itself beneath stone and brick. This movement is so slow that it rarely announces itself. And because it does not announce itself, it does not disturb. Imagine a city at rest. Stone streets smooth from centuries of use. Walls thick enough to hold warmth. Windows placed low, once meant to catch the morning sun. At night, the city's quiet, not empty, just still. Stillness does not mean absence. It means nothing is being asked to change. In such cities, one may notice something gently curious. A doorway that seems slightly lower than expected. A window that sits closer to the ground. Steps that descend just a little farther than necessary. There is no urgency in noticing this, no tension arises. It is simply an observation. An observation, when it carries no demand, can be soothing. The earth beneath the city has been working slowly. Rain softened the soil. Rivers brought fine sediment. Dust settled without sound. Nothing arrived all at once. Nothing required response. People continued living. They cooked, they rested, they walked familiar paths. When the ground rose a little, they adjusted without concern. A step was added. A threshold raised, a floor repurposed. Adaptation occurred quietly. This is not the story of disaster. It is the story of accommodation. And accommodation is calm. Old cities did not disappear beneath the earth. They rested within it. Stone does not resist soil. Brick does not fear sediment. They accept. Acceptance is not weakness, it is endurance. As you listen, your breathing may slow. That's natural. The body responds to steady rhythm just as architecture responds to slow change. The mud flood theory in this telling is not a claim. It is not a warning. It is simply an idea that allows us to imagine time moving gently without interruption. Nothing here needs resolution. Nothing needs to be uncovered. Some things are peaceful precisely because they remain layered. And now, as the thought settles, it offers a small, quiet reward. A sense of continuity, a feeling that nothing has been lost, only rearranged. From here, the story does not progress sharply. It widens, it slows further, and it prepares, without urgency, to move into the next calm observation. The gentle rise of streets. Streets are among the quietest witnesses of time. They do not speak. They do not record events. They simply receive footsteps. Over years, over generations, those footsteps smooth stone, soften edges, and mark presence without noise. A street is never finished. It is always becoming. In older cities, streets were not engineered to resist the earth. They were designed to exist with it, stone laid carefully, gravel packed patiently, paths shaped by use rather than instruction. When the ground beneath shifted slowly, the street did not object. It adjusted. There is a natural calm in adjustment. Nothing is forced, nothing is sudden. The surface rises by a fraction. Another layer is added quietly. People continue walking. Imagine a familiar street. You know every curve, every step feels expected. Now imagine that over many years, the surface rises just enough that no single moment is noticeable. You do not trip, you do not stumble. The street meets you where you are. This is how most change happens. Not as an event, but as a continuation. In historical cities, layers of use accumulated. Dust from daily life, sediment from rain. Material brought unknowingly on shoes and wheels. None of it dramatic, all of it ordinary. The street slowly accepted these additions. It did not reject them. And rejection requires effort. Acceptance does not. As layers formed, the ground level became something gently new. Old doorways appeared lower, windows seemed closer to the street, but no one was alarmed, because nothing had happened all at once. Slow change does not announce itself, and without announcement, there is no reason to respond with urgency. Consider how often, even now, roads are resurfaced, a thin layer added, a surface smoothed. No one marks the exact height before and after. It is not important. What matters is that walking remains easy. In the past, this process was simply slower, much slower, so slow that it blended perfectly into daily life. People woke in the morning, stepped outside, and walked as they always had. The street greeted them at the same level of familiarity. Comfort remained intact. Streets do not demand explanation. They are content to exist. As the ground rose gently, buildings responded in equally gentle ways. A step added at an entrance. A threshold adjusted, no signs of distress, only quiet maintenance. Maintenance is a calm activity. It assumes continuity. It expects tomorrow to arrive as today did. There were no ceremonies for these changes. No proclamations, because nothing felt extraordinary. Over time, streets became layered records of normal life. Not disasters, not recoveries, just accumulation. Imagine standing on a street that has known centuries. Beneath your feet, layers of stone and soil rest comfortably. Each one once served as a surface. Each one accepted its role and then yielded it peacefully. Nothing was destroyed, nothing was erased, everything was incorporated. This idea that the past remains present beneath us does not need to be unsettling. It can be comforting. It means continuity was never broken. As you imagine these layers, your breathing may deepen. That is natural. The mind responds to slow imagery with relaxation. Streets, like thoughts, can rise gradually, and when they do not disturb. In some cities, entire roadways were lifted slightly over time. New paving laid atop old. No one stopped to question what lay beneath, because walking forward mattered more than looking down. And forward motion, when slow and familiar, feels safe. People trusted the street, they trusted the ground, they trusted continuity. This trust allowed memory to soften. Exact measurements were not preserved, they were not needed. What mattered was that life continued easily. And ease is the heart of sleep. As this part of the story settles, there is no conclusion to reach. Only a gentle realization. Streets rise quietly. Life adapts gently. Time passes without disturbance. This realization offers its own reward. A sense that change does not have to be disruptive to be real. And now, without effort, the mind prepares to drift further. Not forward urgently, but sideways, into another calm observation. The street fades from focus. The city remains, and beneath it, layers rest without pressure. Buildings that adapt without alarm. Buildings, like streets, are patient things. They do not react quickly. They do not respond emotionally. They remain. In older cities, buildings were constructed with time in mind. Walls were thick, foundations were deep. Materials were chosen for endurance rather than speed. These structures expected weather, they expected seasons, they expected change, and expectation removes fear. When the ground around a building rose slowly, the building did not resist. There was no cracking panic, no sudden collapse. Instead, there was quiet adjustment. A doorway that once met the street directly now required a step. The step was added, life continued. A window that once caught the morning light now sat lower. Curtains were adjusted, rooms were repurposed, nothing was lost. Buildings do not cling to their original form. They accept modification without distress. This acceptance is built into their design. In this way, architecture mirrors calm thought. It does not fight change. It absorbs it. Consider how many times a building is altered over its lifetime. Walls are repaired, floors replaced, roofs reinforced. These acts are not signs of failure. They are signs of continuity. When soil gathered against outer walls, It provided insulation, cooler in summer, warmer in winter. The building adapted naturally. There was no need to remove the earth urgently. Urgency only appears when something happens suddenly. Here nothing did. Slow change allows thoughtful response. And thoughtful response feels safe. People living within these buildings did not experience disruption. Rooms remained familiar. Daily routines continued. Only small details shifted over long periods. A staircase gained an extra step. A floor became storage. A former entrance became secondary. These changes occurred quietly. They did not interrupt sleep. Buildings do not announce adaptation.n. They simply embody it. And if you imagine standing inside one of these old structures, you might feel a sense of stability. The walls feel solid and the air feels settled. Nothing is strained. Below the floor, and there may be older layers. N. Former living spaces. N. Former thresholds. They rest calmly, unused but intact. N. Resting spaces are not abandoned. They are complete. No. The presence of these lower levels does not create unease. They are cool, quiet, and still. And they hold silence well. Silence is not emptiness. And it is containment. Buildings that adapt without alarm teach a quiet lesson. Change does not require reaction when it arrives slowly. This lesson applies not only to stone, but to thought. As ideas settle gradually, and the mind does not resist, and it adapts. The body follows. N muscles soften. N breath evens. N. Nothing is being challenged here. Nothing needs defense. Architecture, when observed calmly, reminds us that endurance is gentle. 4. The buildings of the past were not frozen in time, and they lived alongside it. Each generation adjusted slightly, and not to preserve the past exactly but to remain comfortable in the present or next. Comfort was always the goal, and comfort is deeply compatible with sleep. As this part of the story continues, there is no peak, no revelation, only repetition. Buildings stand, earth settles, people adapt, This rhythm repeats until it no longer needs to be noticed. At that point, attention can drift. You do not need to hold these images. They can rest now. Just as the buildings rest, the story does not stop, and it simply slows further. And without effort, it prepares to move gently onward to another calm space. And Part 4, Lower Floors and Quiet Spaces. Lower floors are among the quietest places a city can offer. They exist beneath movement, beneath conversation, beneath the rhythm of daily life. And because they are beneath, they are calm. In many old buildings, spaces once used for living gradually became something else. Not abandoned, not forgotten, simply reassigned. A room that once held light and voices became a place for storage. A former entrance became a threshold remembered only by stone. These changes occurred gently. No one was displaced, nothing was lost. Lower floors accept stillness easily, cool air settles there. Sound softens, movement slows. They do not demand use. They are content to remain quiet. Silence gathers naturally in such places. Not an empty silence, but a full one. A silence that holds time without tension. When streets rose slowly outside, these spaces remained unchanged within. They did not resist the earth pressing softly against outer walls. They welcomed it. Earth is a patient neighbor. It leans without force. It supports without pressure. Lower floors feel this presence gently. Because change arrived gradually, no sudden decisions were required. There was no need to remove soil urgently. Urgency belongs only to sudden events. Here, nothing was sudden. Lower levels became insulated by the earth. Temperatures evened. The air remained cool. Comfort increased. These spaces became places of rest, not always intentional rest, but natural rest. They stored tools, they stored goods, they stored silence. Silence, when undisturbed, becomes familiar, and familiarity breeds comfort. People moved above these floors without thinking of what lay below. Awareness was not required. The building functioned smoothly. Lower floors don't ask to be remembered. They are satisfied simply existing. If you imagine standing in one now, you might notice how sound behaves. Footsteps fade quickly, voices soften. The space absorbs noise kindly. There is no echo demanding attention, only quiet. Quiet places do not compete with sleep, they support it. The idea that parts of a city remain unused does not need to feel unsettling. Unused does not mean incomplete, it means finished. Completion allows rest. These lower spaces did not disappear. They remained whole. They simply no longer needed to participate. Just as the mind at night does not need to participate in every thought. Thoughts can pass above awareness while deeper layers remain still. Lower floors mirror this process. They exist beneath attention. They do not interrupt. Some cities sealed these spaces deliberately. Doors closed, stairways blocked, not from fear, but from lack of need. Sealing a space is not erasing it, it is protecting it. Protected spaces remain unchanged longer. They rest undisturbed. The earth above them holds steady. The building above them stands firm. Nothing presses inward. As this image settles, your breathing may deepen further. That is expected. The body responds to enclosed safety with relaxation. Lower floors feel enclosed. An enclosure, when gentle, feels secure. There is no darkness to fear here, only quiet absence of light. Absence does not threaten, it rests. As this part of the story softens, it does not resolve, it simply remains. Lower floors remain, silence remains, stability remains. And now, without effort, attention drifts upward again, not quickly. Just enough to prepare for the next calm observation. Part 5, water, rain, and soft sediment. Water moves differently than stone. Where stone holds shape, water releases it. It does not insist, it does not resist, it simply flows. Rain arrives without intention, not to change cities, not to reshape land, only to fall. In many places, rain fell often enough to soften the ground gently. Not storms, not floods, just regular rain, day after day, season after season. The soil welcomed it. Earth loosens when treated patiently. And loosened earth does not collapse, it settles. Rivers carried what the rain released, fine particles, soft sediment. Nothing heavy, they traveled slowly. When rivers slowed, they laid these materials down quietly. This movement did not demand attention, it happened beneath daily life. People walked, markets opened, lights glowed at dusk. Water did not interrupt, it accompanied. Sediment accumulated gradually, not enough to notice in a day, not enough to notice in a year, only enough to notice across generations. And across generations, people adapt naturally. When soil gathered near foundations, it pressed gently. Buildings accepted the pressure. Stone responds well to patience. There was no urgency to clear the earth away. Nothing was being threatened, only adjusted. Water softened edges, rounded corners. It did not carve aggressively, it smoothed. Smoothing is a calm process, it leaves nothing sharp. Rain also cleans, it washes dust from air, it cools surfaces, it quiets sound. Cities after rain feel slower, footsteps soften, voices carry less, the world briefly rests. Over long periods, this repeated quieting accumulates. The environment becomes calmer. Sediment does not arrive as a problem, it arrives as a layer. Layers can be comforting. Think of layers of blankets. One does not overwhelm, it supports. Soil layered around buildings did not trap them, it insulated them. Cool in summer,